Hey guys, this is Cliff Ravenscraft here, and no intro. This is not a normal episode. What I've decided is to share with you a couple bonus episodes between now and Free the Dream 2019, which is coming up September 13th through the 15th in Franklin, Tennessee. You've heard me talk about it every week here on this podcast, and you'll continue to hear about it in the weekly podcast episodes the full-length, normal episodes on Fridays. You will get them here, but I realized there's only 11 weeks until Free the Dream and only 11 opportunities to tell you what you need to know to finally get you to go buy that ticket is not enough. And so I've decided that I'm going to throw in a couple bonus episodes here, maybe some testimonials of people's lives that have been radically transformed and some other bonus content that I'll slip in between now and September 13th. Today's bonus episode is a conversation I had with my great friend, Crystal Foth, who has been a part of my community since 2013. I've known what her dream was ever since then. I told you there are people in my community that I know. I know what their dreams are, and I talk to them and I catch up with them from time to time, and I ask how things are going. And it's always 2 to 3 years down the road. Always 5 to 10 years down the road. It'd be nice in 10 to 20 years but I don't see them taking significant action, and I see those numbers never getting any closer. I've been guilty of this myself, and it's why I learned all the things that I learned to, number one, immerse myself into the study of the things that I want. How do I get myself to take action on pursuing the life for which I was created? You guys have seen the transformation that I've had in my own physical health, my own physical fitness, my own career journey, how it's transitioned over the years to become more and more who I've been created to be. And of course, I have this strong desire to help each and every one of you to understand right now is the time to live the life of your dreams. And if it's changing the work that you're doing that you need to do the work that you feel most called to do in this world, to live the life you feel most called to live in this world, to have the physical fitness and physical health that you feel most called to have in this world, to have the relationship with your spouse if you're married that you feel called to have in this world, to have the relationship with your kids that you feel called to have in this world, to have the financial resources you feel called to have in this world, to live a life debt-free, all of the things, all of the dreams that you have. Now is the time to live the life for which you were created. Don't put it off for 6 years. Don't put it off for another year. Don't put it off for another week. Take an action right now, just like my friend Crystal Foth did just about a year ago. And I'm going to let her tell her story through this conversation I had with her a few weeks ago. Crystal, thank you so much for agreeing to share some of your experiences with attending Free the Dream Conference. I would love it if you wouldn't mind take a moment to tell us a little bit about yourself. Are you married? Do you have kids? What kind of work do you do? Are you desiring to become full-time self-employed? I'd just like people to get a little bit of a feel of the type of people who are coming to Free the Dream Conference.
My name is Crystal, and I'm from California, and I am married, and I have an 11-year-old daughter. I am not currently self-employed. Well, I kind of am. My husband and I have a tech business, but there's a dream for another business that I want to build. And I currently work for the same employer. I'm on my 21st year, and I would say this is my maybe third career. And it's one that's a meaningful, quote-unquote, day job, but it fuels me in a personal way, but I also have goals outside of that as well.
What was it that you would say that made you initially want to come to Free the Dream Conference?
What really made me want to come to Free the Dream was, if I give a little backstory, I became interested in the online business kind of entrepreneurial space in about 2013, which, as you know, is 6 years ago. That's a long time. One should have been able to accomplish a lot of things by then, but that hasn't really happened. And it was through various podcasts that I happened upon you. Now, I have no desire to ever have a podcast, but I subscribed to Podcast Answer Man because you were somebody I enjoyed listening to despite whatever you were talking about. And then I promptly subscribed to pretty much all of your podcasts at the time. And I've been a listener and really somebody who's been in your community since then. So in failing and kind of not moving forward in my online pursuits, when you pivoted and started pursuing different things that were different from your proven kind of successful track record, it kind of indicated to me like, this is what I should do, because it wasn't so much even what you were teaching, but who you were and what I knew you would bring to the event. So I signed up after thinking about it for a really long time.
You know, I remember engaging with you around that time, and I'll tell you what, can you tell folks, what was it that was causing you to hesitate? What was it that was keeping you from buying that ticket right when you had the desire to attend?
My hesitation in pursuing buying the ticket to Free the Dream, I think I first heard about it, I can literally remember, I think it was maybe September of the year before. You came home and you started talking about it publicly with Stephanie about this plan for your own conference. And I was like, I want to go. I got to be there. So the practicality, obviously, of living in California, thinking about a conference that was in Tennessee, and ironically enough, September is a time when we are, quote unquote, not supposed to take time off of my work. So there is that little bit of stops that are kind of, I have to overcome. And obviously the investment of time and money. And it was an investment in pursuing things I had been pursuing, but not seeing any return. So again, throwing more money at something which I thought, well, I haven't really made any money to really say that I can reinvest in this quote unquote dream of mine. And I continued, you would have little sales, you were talking about it. I just hesitated because it was another investment that I just didn't know was going to be productive. I think the hesitation was in really looking for something and in the end, not really meeting expectations or letting myself down again, like setting a desire to grow, moving forward in a direction or having a goal, and then not really kind of quote unquote making it. And then again, it's another letdown in that pursuit of whatever the business is that I'm trying to grow. And you sent me a personalized video and I thought, oh my God, I have to go. I thought he's more invested in me than I am in myself at this point. So I thought, well, I really should, if this person thinks this is going to help me this much and I look up to this person, I need to believe in myself and I need to make the investment. I told my husband right then, I said, look, I want to go to this conference. It also is in September, which my birthday is in September. I thought, well, what better present to myself? So I'm just going to buy the ticket and my work will have to deal with it.
You know, I remember to this day, I remember the day that I created that video to reach out to you. And then I created a vlog episode in response to when you told me about the fact that you were afraid to invest in something yet again, another investment, without even knowing whether or not it's gonna pay off. In response to your concern, I made some pretty bold promises. Like really huge, over the moon types of promises about how Free the Dream Conference was going to finally teach you why it is that you've made all of these other investments and you haven't yet made money from your dream and you haven't taken the actions that you know that you've been taught how to do. Free the Dream, I created this event because of people just like you who have been dreaming for years and haven't yet made significant progress towards making those dreams a reality. And so I promised so much. And my question for you is, did Free the Dream meet the expectations? And I helped you set some high expectations, I hope. Did Free the Dream 2018, did it meet your expectations?
Free the Dream more than exceeded my expectations. It met them, surpassed them a million times infinity. It was really a magical weekend because everybody who came together and being in your community and just recognizing certain names and faces, even walking up to the table and having Mark Mason be there, I was like, I know who you are. It was familiar in that regard. And then walking in and seeing you and Stephanie and everybody, and the space itself is beautiful. And I actually had, because of my timing for work, I had landed that morning at like 5 a.m, rented a car, drove to where I was staying, literally took an hour nap, and showed up later than I wanted to because I had come in on the red eye from LA. So I was just still like on LA time, sat down, the conference started. And it was a bit surreal as it began because of just the anticipation of it. And so, of course, once we settled in and you spoke and everybody started speaking, and it just became something where one really had to look inside and look at it's like I sat there with this idea of it being a practical, quote unquote, conference. I'm going to take my notes and I'm going to be diligent about, following up. But then it became something more personal and something more spiritual. Even everybody else who was there agreed. It was just a unique dynamic in the space and the energy that brought everybody together that was totally not what I expected, but was what I needed. And I was so grateful to be there for that first one, because I think the bigger they become and the more the conference grows, there's still going to be a connection for that original group.
You mentioned the connection with that original group as the conference grows. One of the things that personally is blowing me away is the number of people who have committed that they are coming back to Free the Dream 2019, and many who are going to continue to come as the conference continues to grow. But one of the reasons why you and I are having this conversation right now is because you're one of the several folks who actually purchased your ticket to Free the Dream 2019 while you were still at the event last year. Can you tell me, what was it that prompted you to go ahead and buy your ticket while you were still there last year?
I made the decision to come back, and not only come back, but also to buy the VIP ticket, because you were so graciously invited me in for the VIP lunch when I wasn't a VIP. So I became a VIP. It was one of those nights where we had come home, I think from, I don't remember if it was the first night or the second night, where I was looking at notes from the day, and there was something about taking action. You had to take action. And I thought, the thing I have to take action on is I have to come back. I have to stay in touch with this group, this feeling, this motivation, all of the things that were really keeping me centered to why I was even there. So my connection to maintaining that was being committed to coming back next year, because I knew too that if that first conference was that wonderful and that meaningful in terms of just the motivation to continue my dreams, that next year would probably be even better.
Well, I am absolutely committed to making sure that that is true. Free the Dream 2019 is going to be a completely unique experience, all of its own, and I can't wait to see you again, and it's going to be incredible. Real quickly, one thing that I've been telling folks is that Free the Dream is not like any other conference. In what ways, you've been to a lot of conferences, in what ways is Free the Dream different from other conferences that you've attended?
Completely a different experience than your regular conference or maybe a seminar type of thing you would attend, because it is not about the practical only. I mean, there's the practical aspects of things you need to do. If you want different results, you need to do different things. So there is practicality to it, but it hits you really in that center core of who you are, why you do what you do. And most of us, I would say, are doing things, are not quote unquote happy with where things are, or have different goals and desires, but yet years pass and here we are, we're still 50 pounds heavier, or we're still not pursuing that business, or we're still an employee, a 9-to-5 employee. So it was about taking that risk. When we came home from the weekend, I put something on my desk to remind me, really to keep me centered to that. And having our Facebook group where you could throw a question or throw a chat or even go live, if you wanted to just say something and share it with the group. Every day I check in with that group still. A year later, those are the first notifications that I look for. That's the first place when I go into Facebook to see, what's going on here, even more than, my own personal life and my own friends, because it was such a unique dynamic of people that came together, all different industries, all different businesses, but there was this common really thread through the whole conference of personal fulfillment, knowing that, when you reach those goals, that you just bring more of yourself to the rest of the people around you. And the communication we've had throughout the year, really, the follow-up phone calls were great. And even meeting new people that have come into the group who weren't at the original conference, like Serena, for instance.
Yep.
She was on one of the Zoom calls and we communicated, and the product that I'm looking to develop, she has a child which would potentially be interested in this. So as soon as I have a prototype, like, I will show her, so that I will say, look, is this a product you would use? Is this a product that would be helpful to you? So I've made connections that weren't even from the original conference, but still, I think she'll be there this year, so that'll be good.
I'm excited to already know the answer to this question, but I want to hear it from your perspective. Are there any things that you have achieved in the past 9 months that you may have never achieved, or maybe certainly it may have been another several years of waiting before you achieved them, that you have achieved, that you have taken action on because you came to Free the Dream last year?
There are definitely things I have achieved now that I would not have achieved. The biggest one being making it vocal, my desire to transition roles in my day job. So my day job, I have a very personal connection to it because as an artist, it's fine art related, and we teach other people how to become artists. So there is a bit of a meaningful connection there, especially with the founder. So it's not a day job that I would desire to be completely connected or severed from, because it's a personal connection really I have with it as well. But I desired more time and less responsibility there to focus on my goals that I need to move forward personally with. So, and it's not that I can't do both, but coming back from Free the Dream, one of the things I'd written down was I needed to go part-time at my work, or at least do, say, 30 hours a week to spend the extra time and margin on my personal things. And so talking to my boss was one of the hardest conversations that I had, but I came back and I did it. And I said, I need an assistant. I need somebody to take over these tasks that essentially I'm being overpaid for anyway, to give me the margin to do things I want to do outside of work. And he said, okay. I hired the person, and I've really been training her since then. So that happened. And the other thing, I had this, really, I can think back now, I think it's been almost 5 years, this idea of a product, a physical product. And Aaron Walker talked about the pot rack with his daughters, the business he began after having many businesses and being very successful. The excitement he had over this pot rack was, it was really interesting to see, because it was the business he was developing with his daughters. So there was the family connection. And the product that I want to make is something that I want my daughter to really help me with, for something for us to do together. But I started doodling out the product. I started looking for ways I could manufacture it. I've made prototypes. I've had meetings, and I've just kept moving forward. And today I'm having a meeting to look into, I need a real prototype so I could see if the product would even fly. And that definitely would not have happened had I not attended Free the Dream.
That is so awesome. I am so excited about all of the actions that you've taken, and it's clear that your life is different today than it was 9 months ago, and that thrills me. One of the things about you is that while you don't desire to sever your ties from the day job completely, you have a personal connection there, there's a level of fulfillment there, but you certainly don't want to do that full time. You have some desire to, some business pursuit desires to pursue as well, some other side projects and ventures. And I think that's incredibly awesome. And that's a lot of people who come to Free the Dream. They are looking to, their dream is to build their businesses. But there are a lot of people out there who say, I just don't know that I should go to Free the Dream because, well, I don't want to leave my day job. I don't even want to start a side business. I'm just not pursuing this entrepreneurial route. Let me ask you, I say this all the time, that Free the Dream isn't just for entrepreneurs, but if someone were to ask you who should go to Free the Dream, how would you answer to that?
I think Free the Dream is good for any person who just wants to be better tomorrow than they are today. Because we all have those goals. I want to invest in real estate. I would like to just have more time to paint. I would like to have this product. it's not about just being an entrepreneur or being an online business person. I think it's just about being the person you're supposed to be completely in all aspects. I don't have a desire necessarily to leave my day job completely. I want to remain connected there, but I want it to be on my terms. I want to have the personal time to do the things I want, because as people, we all have families. I feel like we all have the business side, the personal side, and we just need to be whole as one and be fulfilled in whether it's health and fitness or whether it's, your business or your family. I mean, but it all comes down to who you are and who you are in how you navigate your day to day, which behind that is your beliefs, how you were raised, what somebody said to you when you were 5 years old that you don't even realize is sometimes stopping you today at 45 years old. Even in our call recently, our Zoom call, Brian's story, I could not believe hearing him say what had transpired, what family members had said to him. And I thought, oh my God, that same thing is affecting me. It is completely affecting me, and I didn't even think about it. And then that day I recognized it and I started a painting. I haven't painted at home personally just for no financial gain since my daughter has been born. She's 11. I have paintings hanging in the house, so she sees my paintings on the walls and knows that, I did paint at one point, but she had never seen me physically paint an oil painting, which is sad, especially since I work for an art business too. And she's actually learning to oil paint herself right now. And I painted the painting and I gave it as a gift for somebody. And seeing that happen, I thought that never would have happened had I probably not been on that Zoom call. And it's not about, free the dream, frees all of the dreams, not just the one that's going to make you a lot of money necessarily. It could be that one, which would be great too. But I think it just helps you be who you completely want to be in all aspects, because you clear the things that are stopping you, which all are those little invisible beliefs in our minds.
Crystal, what message would you give to those who are kind of like where you were about a year ago? They are just hesitating. They know they want to go to the conference, but they haven't yet bought a ticket. What would you say?
I would like to talk to all the people who have not yet bought their ticket, have been thinking about it, have gone to the sales page, which I did many times, to see if there were discounts changing or if the price was different, or maybe today would be the day. You need to stop hesitating and know that you matter. What you're here to do matters. No matter the goal, whether it be small, whether it be big. If it's a goal you have, you should achieve it. And if you haven't already, why not? So get to the reasons that are stopping you. And sometimes you can't necessarily just read that in a book or see that online. You need to experience something that will shift your reality to the point where when you leave, your reality will never be the same. And I do believe that's what happened at that conference. Because for me, I just went in with the expectations of, I just don't even know, but I'm going to do this because it feels right. And it was really the best decision I ever made.
Well, there you go, my friends. That was the conversation I had with Crystal, where she wanted to make sure that you guys heard her story of what happened with her experience of Free the Dream. Now, listen to this. If you didn't hear it, she first heard about Free the Dream in September 2017. She had desired to go to Free the Dream from the first time she heard about it. But when it came to July 2018, she still, 9 months later, had not purchased a ticket. Now, Crystal has been one of the most faithful members of my community. I know her really well. I know what her dreams are. And quite frankly, when I created this event, I created it for people just like Crystal. And so, as you heard, I recorded a personal video message and I said, Crystal, you're commenting on all of this material I'm creating with the Free the Dream message, where I'm trying to get people to get a grasp of what it is that's going to happen in Franklin, Tennessee. Why Haven't you purchased a ticket yet? And of course she told me, about, I'm just afraid to let myself down again. I've invested so much. I've had this business desire for 6 years, and I just haven't been able to get myself to consistently take action. I keep putting money out. I'm paying for lead pages. I'm paying for all this other stuff. I've taken courses, and I make some progress, but quite frankly, I'm just tired of letting myself down. And of course, I reached out to her again and I told her how Free the Dream would change all of that. You heard, right? And so what happened? She after engaging, she's like, number one, because man, Cliff Ravenscraft is more invested in me living my dream than I am. And she understood it wasn't just a sales pitch. This was genuine, that I genuinely was, in fact, and am invested in her living her dream, just like I'm invested in you and your dream. If I don't know what your dream is yet, then email me and tell me what your dream is. Put email cliff@cliffravenscraft.com, and in the subject line, put my dream and tell me what your biggest dream is. Anyway, I'm convinced that it was that interaction that I said, listen, if you come, I'm convinced it will change your experience. You will begin to take consistent, ongoing, nonstop action towards your dream. I'm not telling you it's going to be easy. I'm not going to tell you that there's no obstacles that will be in your way, but when those obstacles come up, instead of stalling you, you will plow through all of the setbacks, all of the obstacles, all of the unmet expectations. You will, if you come to Free the Dream, I'm not saying you have to come to Free the Dream. Without it, you won't succeed. You could succeed on your own. The question is do you want to wait another 5 or 6 years? And so she, of course, did sign up. She signed up for a standard ticket back then, and that was perfectly fine. In fact, she signed up on July 31st, 2018, and she attended Free the Dream conference. And then what happened? Well, guess what? That dream, she had no desire to leave her day job. She is fulfilled by the work that she does. You see, Crystal is an amazing artist. She has a strong passion, gift, and talent for fine art. And she has a day job that, quite frankly, fulfills her. But she didn't want to work the number of hours that she's been working over the past several years. She had a strong desire to go to drop back the number of hours, to free herself up from some admin tasks that aren't necessarily anything that she feels like she should be spending her time on. And she wanted to work on a side business to create a product that she's dreamed of for 6 years and had invested so much money, but not taken action on actually seeing it come any closer to being a reality. And so what happened? She went to Free the Dream. She came back and she had the most difficult conversation she's ever had with her boss. And she negotiated a 30-hour work week. Not only that, but she also negotiated it so that her boss would allow her to hire an assistant to do that admin work at the company's expense, to pay for the assistant, who she's now training to take those responsibilities off her plate. And because of that negotiation, she has had the ability to work and take massive action. It started out with just doodling what her product might look like. Then it's researching who should she contact, what are the different options for creating prototypes, and she did that research. She was actually she was in her car when we did this interview, and she said, Cliff, I'm literally going in right now to do to talk to them about my prototype. And guess what? This interview was recorded several weeks ago. She now has that physical prototype. I have pictures of it. It's awesome. And she's actually doing some research with people in her target audience, many of which she's met through Free the Dream community. And here's the most awesome thing. Just 9 months later, she's taken all of this action, and she has a goal to actually have her physical product to show off at Free the Dream 2019. And for those who are going to be on the VIP ticket, there is one bonus session on Friday evening for those after the VIP dinner. There's a bonus session, and Crystal's going to come on stage, and she's going to show the product that was just a dream for 6 years. But in 1 year, it became a reality. And she's going to talk about the story of what changed for her last year at Free the Dream, what actions she took, what obstacles she faced, the mistakes she made along the way, what she learned, and how she was applying this message. All of that. Crystal will be at Free the Dream. As you heard, she actually purchased her ticket while at the event last year. She knew it was that valuable to her. She wanted to remain connected and stay in touch with the group of people that fired her up. She wanted to stay connected to that feeling she had that weekend that motivated her so much. She wanted to stay connected to all of that motivation, and she wanted to keep centered on her dream. And that's something this community has done for her, not just at the event, but you heard about these Zoom calls that we have. We have consistent, ongoing Zoom calls. I'm invested not just in that weekend in the lives of people in the Free the Dream family, but I and my wife, Stephanie, we consistently have regular, ongoing Zoom calls for members of this family, this Free the Dream family, this community that we have, because we are committed to seeing people live the life of their dreams now and help them do the work they feel most called to do in this world. It's not just for self-employed people, by the way. You heard that. It's for people whose dream is to lose that extra 50 pounds that you've been you've been trying to get rid of for the last 10 years. Whatever the case may be, whatever your dream is, now is the time to live the life of your dreams. Now is the time to get those beliefs out of your way. And get this, so Free the Dream, her main focus was her business pursuit, which again, massive success there in just 9 months. And I can't wait for you guys to see her product if you join the VIP ticket. But anyway, the thing is not only did she do that, but did you hear, she says, if it weren't for the Zoom call where Brian, was it Brian Floyd who shared what his Uncle Dick said, which I shared a recording of that just a couple weeks ago here in this podcast. And if it wasn't for that call, she wouldn't have evaluated some of the thoughts and beliefs that had been sticking around in her head about her ideas related to her own pursuit of painting, her own love of painting, her own joy and skill of painting. And her daughter, who is 11 years old, until that Zoom call, had never seen her mother paint an oil painting. There's paintings all over the home that she's painted. Her daughter has seen all these amazing fine art paintings, these oil paintings in her house, and her daughter not once in the 11 years has ever seen her mom paint one of those paintings until one of the follow-up Zoom calls. My friends, if you come to Free the Dream 2019, you're not just signing up for a weekend experience like no other experience you've ever had before. You're signing up for an ongoing community of people who are going to keep you centered on your dream. You will finally be able to break free from what's been holding you back for years, creating consistent lifetime change in the things, the behaviors that you want to change. You can change those behaviors. You can create new habits that won't just last a couple weeks, a couple months, and then you go back to the old way. We'll teach you how to consistently live the life you were created to live. FreeTheDreamConference.com. Head over there, buy your ticket right now. I look forward to seeing you in Franklin, Tennessee, where we'll all join together and encourage one another daily, as long as it is called today, to live the lives that we were created to live. FreeTheDreamConference.com. Go get your ticket today.
Mindset, answer man.